We have a president who started out when the country was together and had a wonderful leader, and he is tearing us limb from limb. Well, destroying every institution.
Let's talk about this Donald Trump, even though we don't want to. Let's bring it on the panel for this.
He's a car salesman. He's a used car salesman.
Absolutely.
And he's, you know, he didn't make America great again, but he did turn back the odometer. So who knows what the hell is wrong with us? Hatred of immigrants, contempt for the truth, greed, and the abuse of power. We are fighting those same evils today. And we need to be clear, shamelessness is not and will never be a superpower. It is the mark of a villain. Kidnapping children is not what great nations do. If anything, we've got to get back to a place where we realize that a vote is not who you are. You know, and because you voted Republican, you're not stupid, you're not different, you're not worthless. You know, I could break bread with anybody who voted for Trump. We could find some common ground to love each other through, you know? So, just stop doing stupid shit. We're not in control.
As I watched this week, what I kept thinking was, it all comes down to this case of narcissistic personality disorder. We've all talked about it since you've been on the public scene. But we see it in real time. Somebody really unraveling, spiraling toward madness.
So I'm an asshole? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. We're talking.
Oh, you're not talking.
There was a tape of him talking to Bob Woodward, right? We heard that this week. At the end of it, he gets a little frustrated and he says, well, accurate is that nobody's ever done a better job than I'm doing as president. He says, how can you...
Job of what? Job of what? Demolition Man?
Right.
There's nothing left! That lot is... You know, and covering for this president is like putting makeup on a melanoma. You know, not only unsightly, but it's dangerous. I'd see that everybody's a hypocrite because everybody's imagined themselves standing there with his head. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe at least half the country. You know, we're in a tough spot. It's a very, very divided world, and those on the... I guess you'd call it the left side. I just call it the sensible side. Is, you know, we're sitting there watching this nonsense happen, and people come out and talk about it like we're kindergartners.
Right? That even if it's not, you know, even if he's not worth $10 billion, he must be worth like $1 billion as opposed to, you know, a few million, or as opposed to being in debt a few million, right?
He reported 100 and he was worth 5. You know?
Right.
So that's the ratio of truth to bullshit with Trump. Basically, anything he says is 20 to 1. Okay? This administration is a rabid dog, and it's turning us upside down, and all, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's as obvious as the nose on your face, you know, but people have made these elections and politics in general who they are, and it's not who you are. You can make a bad decision about a candidate. It's not who you are. It doesn't mean you're dumb. Break bread with anybody in this country. I love people in this country. I love the heartland of this country. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, it's become obvious that the choice was a bad one. We just need to change it. And if you can't vote for a Democrat, at least let all this flood of information that's so negative and so obvious.
Trump.
This whole thing has brought back my 8-year-old self. It's been a gift from God. It's like literally like brought me back to 8 years old, where I used to sit in my room. Trump is toast. Yeah, man.
And so you just kind of digest the news of the day.
It's an affirmation.
Robert
Mueller putting the squeeze on the president. Just to relieve hatred of immigrants, contempt for the truth, greed, and the abuse of power. We are fighting those same evils today. And we need to be clear, shamelessness is not and will never be a superpower. It is the mark of a villain. Kidnapping children is not what great nations do.
Let me start with the gas price numbers, because I think it gets said and then people move on without fully absorbing what it means. Before this war started, the average price of gas in America was $2.98 per gallon. It is now about $3.60 a gallon. For a family filling up twice a week, there is an extra $60, $80 coming direct out of your pocket, not out of Trump's pocket, not out of the Pete Haystack's pocket, your pocket. And Trump's response response to that was to post on his little silly social media that is very small price to pay. He used those words exactly. A very small price. For a man who has not paid his own gas in decades, that is an extraordinary thing to say to American people, while our people are struggling to pay their bills, not eating food to pay their medical expenses. That is just disgusting. And then there's the ICE vehicles situation. The Department of Homeland Security spent millions of taxpayers' money wrapping vehicles in ICE branding and Trump's name in gold on vehicles that are now sitting unusable in parking garages because it is actually against protocol for ICE officers to drive identifiable vehicles. They spend millions of dollars on vehicles they cannot use because they put branding on them. That makes them illegal to use. So they're basically stupid. The pattern here is not incompetence. Incompetence is random. This is something more consistent than that. Every decision benefits someone connected to his administration and costs everyone else. The gas prices hurt working American people and benefit oil companies. The fertilizer crisis hurts farmers and benefits commodity traders. And through all of it, the Epstein files sits in a courthouse with Trump's name on them nearly 5,000 times, probably more, but we haven't seen them yet. Nobody's talking about it because he started a war to avoid a file and even losing his presidency. I know you, my elders, seen maybe worse or better side than this, but it's really sad that we're living in a world like this right now because of this guy that's run our country, and then he has the nuclear codes on him. He can start a war anytime. He does whatever he wants, and we just can't stop him, but we will. Let me be very direct about what is actually happening here, because I think the word NATO gets thrown around and people's eyes glaze over. So let me make this concrete. NATO is the reason Russia has not invaded Western Europe since 1945. It is the reason that Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland are free and free countries, not Russian territories. It took generations of American presidents, diplomats, soldiers, and taxpayers to build that alliance. Zbigniew Brzezinski spent his entire career fighting to protect it. And now Donald Trump is threatening to pull the United States out of it because European countries declined to join a war in Iran that he started without asking anyone's permission first. That is not a negotiation tactic. That is not leverage. That is a man throwing tantrum and threatening to burn down the most successful military alliance in human history because his allies wouldn't follow him into a war he launched at 2 o'clock in the morning with an 8-minute video. And here's the part that should concern everyone in this country. Vladimir Putin has spent his entire career trying to destroy NATO. He has said publicly that the collapse of the Soviet Union was one of the greatest strategies of the 20th century. He invaded Ukraine specifically because he wanted to pull it out of the Western orbit. He has been funding far-right political parties across Europe for years, specifically to weaken the alliance from within. And now the President of the United States is doing Putin's work for him, openly and on camera, telling a British newspaper that NATO is a paper tiger and that he was never swayed by it. Trump knows what weakening NATO means for Putin. Marco Rubio knows. Every single person in that cabinet knows, and they're doing it anyway. This is not complicated. If NATO weakens, Putin wins. If Putin wins, Ukraine falls. If Ukraine falls, the Baltic states are the next ones. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, these are NATO members. An attack on them is legally an attack on United States. That is what Article 5 means. That is what every American soldier stationed in Europe is there to defend. And the president is threatening to walk away from all of it because France and Germany didn't want to join his Iran war. Wake up. This is the story. Everything else is noise. Please subscribe to my channel and you can join it if you want to support me. I also have buy me a coffee link. I'd be really appreciated. You elders are watching my channel and supporting me every day. I know it. I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for your comments. Thank you so much.